What is up, everybody? It is time for a pretty interesting 4-game slate today because I don't really like the stacking options. I don't really like the pitching options. And what else? What other elements are there? I like the vibes. Right? We'll have
Vibes are high.
We'll have some fun building some lineups and see how it ends up going. Yeah, we got Nick Willer in chat said Greg called the Red Sox against Suarez last night. It wasn't against Suarez. It was against Jesus Luzardo. They did the Red Sox put up 1 billion runs, but all the pitchers sucked last night. It was so hard to get the right pitching combination, which I felt really good that I had a Red Sox stack in single entry, but I had Taj Bradley in that lineup as well. And he scored. I don't remember this ever happening before. By the way, as you guys are coming in here, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Last night, Taj Bradley was over 50% owned. And before the game was even over, he got sent down to the minor leagues.
Yeah. It was pretty incredible. I got that alert and I was like, no way. They must really not. They already didn't like Taj Bradley. I don't remember if you remember last year. He came up, he had like 2 really strong strikeout starts and then immediately got sent back down. And a lot of people were like, this is crazy. This is just, they're just trying to finagle his management, whatever else. There's got to be something behind the scenes with that dude where they just really outwardly don't like him because they were like, no, it's because the pitch mix, we asked him to do certain things and he wasn't doing them. And then he gets sent down. He comes back up and he just wasn't good at the end of last year. And then, this year, I mean, it's just kind of been tough sledding all the way around. But it was like 10 minutes after that game ended, he was in AAA. It was incredible.
Yeah, I think they made the decision like the 3rd inning that they were going to send him down because it happened quick. It happened really quick that Taj Bradley was, like you said, game ended and immediately he was down in the minor leagues. So, and if you look at his numbers overall for the season, they're not great, but they're not totally terrible either. He's had some bad luck, and also he's pitching in, just a crazy hitter-friendly ballpark at home. He's got a 4.61 ERA, a 3.71 expected ERA, though. So, I don't know, whatever. He got lit up by the White Sox last night, and that was what prevented me from having top lineups, even though I took some chances against Jesus Luzardo. Red Sox put up. If you told me last night the Red Sox were going to score 11 runs, I would have thought there was no way that I wasn't massively profitable on the slate.
Yeah, it was an absurd slate. Yesterday was about as absurd as it gets until today, of course, with a 4-gamer and nothing that looks remotely good in terms of the combination of projection and ownership. There's no leaks, I think, in the game of anybody that's playing DFS today. The Angels should be the highest owned stack. They're the number 1 stack in top stack percentage. They have the highest implied run total at 5.5 in Vegas. And yet I hate playing them on this slate from a DFS perspective. And they're my first lock that I've had for quite a while from a betting perspective. So I could not believe the line yesterday. We got tons of CLV on it. Feels good, but inevitably now go Mariners, I guess, because that's probably what I'm rolling out in single entry too. The more I look at it now, and you brought it up before the show.
Yeah, I mean, here's what we got for ownership at pitcher. We've got Sonny Gray, who's the only expensive pitcher on the slate at $9,500. He's 54% owned. Hate the matchup from against the Padres. Terrible matchup. Yeah. But you also get, it's kind of like when we talked about with Kevin Gausman, when did he pitch Tuesday or Monday? I forget which day of the week it was. He was $8,500 and there was nobody within either way, there was nobody close to $500, either more expensive or cheaper than him. Well, now with Sonny Gray being $9,500, you got $10,000 on the table, or you got $9,600 or something like that. Either going to Sonny Gray or going all the way down to Kikuchi, and good chance are a lot of people already playing Kikuchi because he's 48% owned. So yeah, if you got excess salary to spend, Sonny Gray is just going to land in a lot of lineups. Kikuchi's $8,300 and 48% owned. So that's the chalk at pitcher. Then you got a 28% owned Reese Olson, a 26% owned Eric Lauer, a 18% owned Luis Severino, then just nominal ownership going to Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, Yu Darvish, and Logan Evans as well. So that's we got George is pitching today. That's how thin the pitching is for tonight. But let's start all the way on the high end with Sonny Gray, $9,500. The cash game combo is pretty simple. You're going Sonny Gray and Yusei Kikuchi. That's the direction you're going to want to go in cash games. For GPPs, what do you make of Sonny Gray relative to his high ownership, though?
It's a lot of ownership. I'm probably inclined to say that you should still, I'm playing one lineup today for what it's worth. Yeah. So not going to be, everything I'm talking about is contextualized just from what I just read in the Sims and taking a look at it. I'm coming in a little overweight to him, but I got to tell you, I would be a little bit more inclined to just short it. This is a big ownership number at 9,500. Now, the question is always like, what kind of bats do you need to get to? We have an obvious Cal Raleigh at catcher. We have really nothing else that's all that expensive. So as far as like paying up for the specific bats, we don't have like a Yankees on this slate. We don't have a Coors Field on this slate. It's only 4 games and there aren't many options, but those options aren't very expensive. And as such, I just think 9,500 for a guy who has pretty good strikeout stuff, despite the matchup in a decent enough ballpark. I think it's still probably somebody that I think is all right to be showing up in right around 50% of lineups. But I got to tell you, I'm not going to play him in my one lineup today, more than likely, because it just feels like there's going to be a ton more ownership than what his optimal percentage is, what the top pitchers tool is bearing out. So probably going to be a pass for me overall.
Yeah, so I did run Sims for 150 lineups like you. I'm just playing single entry today, and I'm not playing either of the chalk pitchers in my single entry lineup. And also the way when I ran everything through the Sims, the pitchers I got the most exposure to, the 2 pitchers I get the most exposure to are Kikuchi and Sonny Gray, but I am a little bit underweight to the field to each of them in the 150 lineups that I ran with the process that I use in the Sims. If you don't make any adjustments here, you guys will see that Sonny Gray about even with the field. Yusei Kikuchi slightly overweight to the field. So, as far as Sonny Gray goes, once again, if you have the salary, you're probably just going to land on him. But relative to the ownership and me trying to pay up with some offenses to get different and leverage a little bit as well against some of these pitchers, my preference is to take shots on some of the lesser owned guys, like Yu Darvish, Jason Alexander. Like, I'm willing to roll the dice on these guys just because it's a 4-game slate and they're so low owned. So Sonny Gray, relative to his ownership, it's a little high for me. I feel the same way about Yusei Kikuchi, although maybe even a little bit stronger, just because we've seen what happens when Kikuchi starts don't go well, and he gives up a lot of power and a lot of hard contact. So you look at Yusei Kikuchi, who does have a 3.13 ERA for the year, but a 4.26 expected ERA. And then also he's a guy for his career. I know it hasn't been the case this year. This year only has a 10.5% home run to fly ball rate, but it is 16.4% for his career. And like I was just saying a second ago, bad Kikuchi starts tend to go really wayward. So if I am going to stack against Sonny Gray or Kikuchi, my preference is to stack against Kikuchi. My single entry lineup is a stack of the Mariners against Kikuchi. So cash game pitchers are Gray and Kikuchi, but I think the ownership for GPPs is a little bit too high on both of them.
Yeah, the other thing too is Kikuchi. He has a really good strikeout rate against lefties, 30%. It's not crazy against righties, 23%. So from a DFS perspective, you can find ways of kind of maneuvering away from it. But I'm more inclined, because he's 8,300 as opposed to Sonny Gray at 9,500, to still play more Kikuchi. I'm going to play Kikuchi, I think, in single entry when it's all said and done now. I was bringing up Seattle as like a potential stack that I was looking at for single entry, but as you probably already heard, I'm very invested in the Angels here. I'm not going to play the Angels as a single entry stack here today with their popularity, and probably going to be even higher in those single entry contests. But I look at the board today, and with Kikuchi being 1,200 less than Sonny Gray, 23%, still a decent enough strikeout rate against some of those righties. And they like to strike out. 24% K rate for Julio Rodriguez against southpaws on the season, 30% for Cal Raleigh on the season, 24% for Arozarena. So there's some big strikeout splits still. But I'm with you where when the starts go poorly, if you had told me I was going to lock a Kikuchi start in the year of our Lord 2025, after how much I bet against him 2 years ago, I would just think I was high on meth, living outside the gutters right now, probably with somebody in a Thor costume down below me. But other than that, feeling pretty good about Kikuchi in your lineups today.
Malukar, I forgive you. Sorry, having computer issues. All good. I forgive you. I forgive you. No weight off my back.
He's not going to make it to the show today. That's sad.
Yeah, Malukar. I hope you're able to figure it out. But I'm not mad at you. Don't worry. I've forgiven you. Also, if anybody has any questions for us and you are in the Discord channel, one of the perks of being a Stokastic sub, hit Eric and I up over the course of the show. I do see a little bit less views here than normal, which would kind of make sense given the quality of the slate. Also want to let you guys know that if you want to join Eric's Tails package, now's a great time to do it because we've got how many baseball games tomorrow? 13, Eric?
I think it's 15. There's always 15 on
Oh,
Friday.
I was thinking the main slate. I saw there's 13 games. But anyway,
13 games on that for sure. Yeah.
All the teams are going to be playing tomorrow. I know Eric's going to have a bunch of baseball action. And also, Eric's overall had a really solid baseball betting season. And you could get in on to his tails package for what is that? What does that run people right now? Not that much.
$5.
$5. What's the
Lindy
promo
5.
code?
Lindy 5.
Lindy 5. And then also something that we're opening up for all of you guys as well. If you want to join Tails as a creator for yourself, go ahead and do it because we have big updates that are coming to the Tails platform in the coming days. And you're going to have access to our Stokastic YouTube channel, over 100,000 subs. You get shouted out on this channel. We've got the OddsShopper channel that's up to 170,000 subs. We got a mailing list with 70,000 people on it. So just do the math, add it all together. And plus all our Twitter accounts, we could collaborate with you. So it's a really good opportunity. If you're somebody who is into betting or even just into DFS, you could spin up a DFS package. You could grow your own platform using Tails and make some money as well along the way. We have the best rates of any of our competitors, like the Dub Clubs, the WAPs. We made sure that we are going to be taking less of a rake than those platforms. So if you guys are somebody who's been wanting to dip your toes into the content creator space, maybe sell your own betting package or sell your own DFS package, go check out what it is that we're doing over at Tails. There's a link down below in the YouTube description box to sign up. And if you have any additional questions, or maybe it's just easier for you guys to get the information, you can DM Eric or I on Twitter as well. We can answer any questions you have about it. So something new that we're opening up to everybody. And yeah, hopefully it's something that some of you guys take advantage of because I think it's a really good opportunity for all of you out there. And once again, if you have any questions, hit me up about it. Pitchers, Eric. Getting back to the pitchers. Who's your favorite contrarian pitcher on the slate? Who is somebody who is not Sonny Gray or Yusei Kikuchi that you really, really feel strong, or I shouldn't even say feel strong about? Who can you tolerate the most outside of those two pitchers?
I can tolerate Yu Darvish. It's not a great feeling by any means. He's been awful to start off. Has gotten removed from some outings early, but we saw 83 pitches from him in his second outing. His third outing didn't go very well. That is for damn sure. Only 69 pitches in that. But he induced a ton of ground balls in both of those spots. 11 ground balls and 9 ground balls, only 3 fly balls in all 3 outings that he's had. If you just look at this slate on the whole, there's not a ton of strikeout upside. I think Eric Lauer, he's appropriately owned. I think he's going to be in my single entry lineup. But the guy I'm kind of toying with to potentially get away from Kikuchi if I want to is going to be Yu Darvish at 7,500. Again, St. Louis isn't a great strikeout matchup, but I have no interest in playing Logan Evans. I have no interest in playing Luis Severino. I thought about Severino a little bit, and then I just kept on living my life. There are reasons to, like, if you really want to focus in on it, you know, we could look at it from like, okay, Severino, no strikeout upside, same exact reason that I'd be playing Yu Darvish. But that's kind of my point is like, I think Darvish, despite the lower projection there, I think he still has 85, 90 pitches at least in there. And I think at some point we might see the strikeouts start to come back. I don't love it so far, but he's earned the ability to at least be a name that deserves some kind of recognition on a slate where he's pulling no ownership.
So for me, it's 2 guys. One of the ones you just mentioned, Yu Darvish. He's probably washed at this point in his career, but look at who he's priced around and who there's only 2 pitchers on the entire slate who are lesser owned than Yu Darvish, and it's Logan Evans and Jason Alexander. And he's also priced comparably to him. By the way, Jason Alexander is 11% owned. Yu Darvish is 12% owned. So is Yu Darvish past prime? Without a doubt. Absolutely. But does that mean all of a sudden that he should be cheaper and the same ownership as Jason Alexander? Probably not. So Yu Darvish at super low ownership makes sense to me. The other one too, I don't even feel good about his potential results for today, but Luis Severino is the cheapest pitcher on the slate by a lot. And just the fact that there's a chance that none of these pitchers perform all that well today. And then it's just like, this is something we'll talk about in NBA DFS where it's, all right, it's a small slate, power forward sucks. Just give me the cheapest power forward who I think could maybe get me, you know, like 15 to 18 fantasy points or something like that. If no pitchers are going to score over 20 fantasy points today and you can get like 10 out of Luis Severino, I think that's pretty serviceable for today. It's the price point. It's the low ownership. He's the 4th lowest owned pitcher on the entire slate. But yeah, there's an $1,000 price gap between him and Logan Evans, who's the second cheapest pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, one thing for single entry, especially with Luis Severino, it's hard to use all of the salary, no matter who you end up stacking. So there's a chance he ends up sliding down a little bit in terms of ownership, just relative to some of these other guys. Like if you have 7,500 left over, you're probably clicking on Yu Darvish in that kind of a circumstance. So, I mean, it's kind of nice on these slates where you're only playing, or I'm only playing one lineup, because it's like, all right, I'm really thinking about this, not just in terms of like who I think can be successful, because I think that's kind of boring to a certain extent. It's price and probability in betting. And in this case, it's what are the chances of him being a must-have piece? What are the chances of him being somebody that's reasonable? And also, what else can you get from him because of salary? We're playing a salary and projection game. So I look at Severino as maybe kind of a sneakier option that I hadn't really thought about. I'll tell you one thing, I just reran the Sims. I got like 28% of him. So like the more I run it, the more our simulations, our projections really like Luis Severino. So I want to point out that there's a world where he ends up being like your third, fourth highest owned pitcher behind Gray and Kikuchi on today's slate if you're using the Sims. And I think talking through it, it kind of makes sense.
I don't love it, but once again, I don't really like any of the pitchers today. So if I don't really like any of the pitchers and I'm trying to get contrarian and stack against some of the popular pitchers, then why not just play the cheapest pitcher on the entire slate and hope he doesn't implode, and maybe just none of the pitchers really have ceiling games? Because I don't know, like I'll go back to our updated, we've got it on the screen here as well. We don't have a single pitcher project for more than 16 fantasy points. So it's not like we're fading DeGrom to play Luis Severino. It's not like we're fading Skubal. It's not like we're fading, Paul Skeens or anything like that. We're fading 15.9 fantasy points for somebody who we have projected for 13 fantasy points. It's a less than 3 fantasy point gap.
Yeah. It's a good point too. I mean, it's a weird slate for pitching. And I think being able to embrace some of that is just fine. I got my single entry stack now. It's pretty awful, but is there merit to go to 4K reliever? Yeah. So this is something I think about a lot on small slates, like especially 2 and 3 game, like night slates where I hate all the pitching options. Do you think I can't do it on today's slate? There's too many like, going to go like 80 pitches guys that I don't think we have to entertain it.
Yeah. Ben Willie asking us about playing a reliever, and here's what's really hard about relievers. The same. Somebody was asking me about showdown strategy in my DMs for baseball slates. And what's so hard about those contests and the way it's structured is relievers are kind of important sometimes. It's so hard to know what relievers are going to pitch on a given day. There are certain slates where somebody is pegged as a long reliever with an opener, and the long reliever who the team has said is going to pitch doesn't even end up entering the game. So it's really hard. And also he asked, is there a 4K reliever you could potentially get 10 from? Most relievers are only pitching 1 inning. Even if they strike out the side, they're not getting 10. Here's what you need to happen. You need to actually accurately predict which reliever is going to come in the game. That's hard to do. Not only do they have to pitch well, they have to pitch immaculately. They have to pitch a scoreless inning, probably strike out 2, if not all 3 of the hitters. And then the pitchers are actually on the slate. You need them to perform poorly as well, because if just 2 of the starters on the slate score 15 fantasy points, then you're probably drawing dead with a reliever. So it's too much of an uphill battle. There's too many things you need to guess. It's like playing a backup quarterback in a main NFL DFS slate.
Well, you're missing the big thing, the point you didn't even make. You have to get the stacks right too. You have to get the bats right. You didn't even bring it. Like, that's the other major part of this is like, not only would you have to benefit from the pitching situation, but then you also have to beat all the lineups that don't have your stack, or like you're truly just, you're threading such a tight needle. Now on a 2-gamer where 2 pitchers get shelled and the other one just is meh, there's a world where things can still work out for you in that direction, or it gets you access to a full stack of a team that is otherwise unattainable. That's not this slate.
FanDuel pitching, Kikuchi's 37% owned, Sonny Gray's 30% owned, Gray's $9,500, Kikuchi's $9,400. Which of them is your preference for a FanDuel cash game? DraftKings is easier, just playing the 2 of them, but for FanDuel, you can only pick one. What direction would you go in?
Oh, man. I think it's got to be Kikuchi. I think it does. I think you just trust the data there. The reason that I'm hesitant is because we're talking about like nearly a full run in terms of difference in implied totals in Vegas, like 4-6, 3-8, 3-9. We have it 3-9 in terms of opposition total there for Sonny Gray against the Padres, but it doesn't feel good. That's for sure. I would go Kikuchi, but that's purely because of the strikeout upside rather than it is anything else.
Yeah, so I'm going. I really don't have a strong lean between the two of them. So then you can consider that Kikuchi's nearly 40% owned on FanDuel and Sonny Gray's just under 30% owned. I'm gonna lean towards Kikuchi and just be like, he's a little bit more popular. I'll let that be the break, the tie break for me in cash games. And then for GPPs, the tie break for me is gonna be that Sonny Gray's lower owned. So just kind of the inverse for GPPs. I'll go with the lower owned guy between the two. For cash games, the slightly higher owned guy. And then if you're going to be contrarian for FanDuel purposes, which anybody that you're playing on FanDuel isn't Sonny Gray or Yusei Kikuchi is going to be contrarian, who do you like on FanDuel, if anybody, outside of those two?
God, is it tough sledding on FanDuel?
I got my answer.
I mean, I just talked about Yu Darvish. He's 7,400 over there. He's the second. He's the second cheapest pitcher. It's got to be him, but doesn't feel good. It's Yu Darvish. Yuck.
Yeah, it's you for me. He's 2% owned. He's 2% owned. Here's what we got for ownership on all the FanDuel pitchers. Already talked on Kikuchi and Gray. Severino's 10% owned. Eric Lauer's 9% owned. Reese Olson's 9% owned. Then you get 2% owned Yu Darvish, a 2% owned Logan Evans, and a 0.2% owned Jason Alexander. So, you consider once again, who are the super low owned guys on FanDuel? Darvish, Alexander, Logan Evans. There's just such a bigger track record of Darvish being a competent starting pitcher and one point a high end starting pitcher as compared to guys like Jason Alexander, Logan Evans, who are probably not long for the big league. So Yu Darvish, that is going to be my contrarian FanDuel play. But in reality on FanDuel, I think you could mostly go to like Kikuchi or Sonny Gray and feel pretty good about it. But just in the interest of trying to give out somebody to roster who isn't one of those two guys, then I say like, hey, a 2% on Yu Darvish, that's reasonable. We have him being quite positively leveraged in the top pitchers tool as well. Anything else you want to talk about as far as the pitchers go?
No, I do not.
And nothing else to dig up there. So let's talk stacks and just start it off right here. If you're playing one lineup in a single entry, we'll do it for single entry and then for large field, because I do think that those are radically different strategies, especially like 4 or 5 game slates. So something like last night, for instance, the Red Sox are my favorite stack for single entry, but they wouldn't be a team that would be close to my favorite stack for a large field GPP, just one that is worthy playing for leverage purposes. For today, we'll start with single entry. You're stacking up one team. What direction do you want to go?
San Diego Padres. That's who I'm rolling out. I brought up kind of the splits there for Sonny Gray. He's getting a lot more strikeouts against lefties, 28.5%, 25.5% against righties. So not crazy disparity, but he's giving up power to lefties and righties to some extent. I mean, only a 159 expected ISO against lefties. It's enough there still with the platoon. And then you look at what he's doing for righties, 192 ISO against 15-degree launch angle. I mean, there are a lot of ways where Sonny Gray ends up being the most popular pitcher on the slate, him and Kikuchi 1, 2 in whatever variety. But then the next part is that there's like untapped power that exists there that isn't really being represented by the field and the ownership. So it's partially because of the leverage you're getting against a popular pitcher, but it's also partially because I can see the path for it. So it kind of fits both of the things I'm looking for if I'm going to stack against a popular pitcher on a slate like this. So San Diego, they've got power, even though they haven't been using it lately. Good Lord Almighty. I'm stacking San Diego in San Diego. It's very meta of me.
So I'm going to get to my single entry stack in a second. Do you want to touch on some of these questions we got in Discord? Because I actually looked at them and answered them as we were talking about pitchers, but didn't shout people out either. Stinky Thumbs Arbuckle wanted to know about FanDuel pitchers. We touched on that. Einstein wants to know our thoughts on Yu Darvish and Logan Evans. Touched on Yu Darvish. I guess we didn't really touch on Logan Evans. It's generally a no for me. The only real reason to roster him is that the Angels are super popular. You're getting some leverage from that standpoint. For me, though, I would rather get leverage by stacking against guys like Sonny Gray and Yusei Kikuchi than getting leverage by playing Logan Evans against the Angels. That's just kind of how the Sims have broken out the exposure I got to in my lineups. But I understand the logic there. It's just not really where I'm going. Do you consider Logan Evans at all just because of how popular the Angels are?
I'd rather slam my right nut in a door than play Logan Evans on this slate.
All right. All right. Not the left one. Not the left one. That's
No,
good.
the left one I already said I was going to give up. If Spencer Torkelson and Nick Kurtz both hit a home run today, and people who I see tickets inside of 10-1 today on those two today parlayed together, people need to learn math. It is unbelievable the number of Torkelson / Kurtz tickets today, and I'm a Nick Kurtz guy. I mean, how many times can I tell you I'm a Nick Kurtz guy? I can't even remotely come close to finding plus 250 on Nick Kurtz today. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, it's not something that I am massively interested in making parlays. What'd you say the odds are?
Oh, I saw a ticket earlier. Spencer Torkelson, Nick Kurtz parlayed together. I think it was either Caesars or somewhere else. Somebody posted a ticket. It was like literally 10-1.
Not great. Not great. Cream says it is 97 here right now and currently feels like 103. It's going to be hot in St. Louis on the field when the game starts. Yeah, I don't feel good about a single pitcher on today's slate. So it seems like he's a little bit leaning towards you, Eric, with getting some leverage by stacking against Sonny Gray. So for me, there are two lineups that I was considering playing in single entry. One is a Seattle stack that is going to be stacking against Yusei Kikuchi. The other one is a Padres stack, which will be stacking against Sonny Gray. I am leaning towards the Mariners stack just because I think the upside against Yusei Kikuchi is a little bit higher than the upside against Sonny Gray, just because the bad Kikuchi starts tend to yield more upside with him giving up the home runs compared to the Sonny Gray ones. But yeah, both these pitchers, I think that there is reasons to be stacking against them. They're both super popular. And then also, it's not the easiest matchups in the world for them. I mean, Sonny Gray is pitching against the Padres. The Padres, of all the teams on the slate, have one of the better offenses. And then you got the Mariners, a team that has a good amount of power against a pitcher who is prone to giving up power. So I'm going to be stacking the Mariners in single entry, Eric, but I also think there's a strong case to be made for stacking the Padres. Kikuchi and Gray are both going to be very, very popular in single entry.
Yep, and they should be, for what it's worth. Like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be. Like, if the field just weren't playing those two, I would be happy to click on them. But guess what? The field is jamming those two. And so that's what this comes down to, is we're trying to find our path, not even of least resistance, because I think the best way to win today is to probably play them. But the best choice to win money long-term is to not play them today. Does that make sense?
Absolutely does. And now let's talk large field tournaments. If you're just building one lineup for a large field tournament where some of the leverage considerations are a little bit different because the pitchers have more normal ownership as opposed to being, like maybe the 70-ish% ownership you're going to see on guys like Kikuchi and Sonny Gray in smaller fields. What is your favorite stack for large field GPPs?
Yeah, the stack that I would want to play, just even like looking at ownership and everything else, if I were to just say, what is the stack that wins today if you're not going to stack up the Angels? Because Logan Evans, I think we can all agree, just has no business being in the major leagues. This guy is not a Major League Baseball pitcher. And every single number and metric you look at, he is atrocious. And that's pitching half of his games in Seattle, for what it's worth. So, like, that's especially bad. But if you tell me it's not the Angels as far as large field, I love St. Louis against Darvish. You brought up all the reasons, like, he could be dust. We don't know. Like, I think he's dust. If you look at his velocity, if you look at, early 3 starts, you would just say he's broken. But pitchers, especially veteran pitchers, I mean, Max Scherzer had an awful first and second start. He's looked much better in subsequent starts. Not perfect by any means. Gives up a jazz bomb in the first the other day. But, like, there are some things you have to work through when you're 40 years old to be a major league pitcher. And I got to think that St. Louis is probably my favorite for large field. I see Houston's pulling a little bit more ownership. I'm a little surprised by that, not because Luis Severino's good, but it's because the Houston lineup isn't good. I think St. Louis is definitely my favorite for large field.
Yeah. So for myself, I am looking at the Athletics against Jason Alexander. So if you look at the numbers for Jason Alexander in the minor leagues this year, by the way, his big league numbers, his underlying numbers are terrible.
I know, but he was awesome in AAA.
Not his underlying. He's a 4.64 FIP and a 5.25 xFIP.
Just look at his ERA. That's what I was going to get. That's what I'm saying.
What I was going to say is that he got called up because of his ERA, but the underlying numbers are actually terrible.
Agreed.
So you look at those kind of considerations. Like, what can you expect from a guy who had a 4.64 FIP in AAA this year? His career big league ERA, he's made 24 appearances, 12 starts. He's got a 5.92 ERA and a 5.53 FIP. I don't think this guy is good at all. There's a reason why he is 32 years old and his 86 big league innings. And also, you take this year, the FIP is not good. The ERA is pretty good. In previous years in the minor leagues, he's been terrible. 2024 in AAA with the Red Sox, he had a 4.42 ERA, 3.81 FIP. And then in the minor leagues with Milwaukee the year before, 6.14 ERA in AAA the year before, 5.86 ERA. He has regularly been terrible in the minor leagues. And then you look at this year, and it's, yes, the actual ERA is good, but he's got a 250 BABIP. The strand rate is 85%. So some of the luck metrics are unreal for Jason Alexander. I think the most likely scenario is that he's going to get pieced up by the Athletics today. So for large field GPPs, really like the Athletics. For single entry stuff, though, I prefer going to one of the leverage stacks just because it's how I like to get a leg up on the field and how I found the most success in those kind of GPPs. Large field, it's the A's for me, though.
You kind of talked me into like a first five betting line. I'm taking a look here at ProfitX right now and seeing kind of where it's posted at. See if I can't do something like first 5 innings money line there. I mean, I looked at Alexander yesterday, and it kind of just my big concern there is that they just go to a bullpen, and Houston's got a very good bullpen. So if he can survive like 4, they'll just quick hook Jason Alexander. He's not there to stay by any means. That's my one reservation about the Athletics, but some of the numbers bear that out. Again, the Nick Kurtz number is just asinine in that ballpark. It is not a good ballpark for lefty power, despite what Yordan Alvarez has done there in the past. Kyle Tucker's done there in the past. It's awful for lefty power, and yet he's sitting at 250. You could never in a million years do that for me. Brent Rooker with the Crawford boxes to left and a lot of lefties in that pen for Houston. I really liked that. Got it at plus 450 over at ProfitX today. Posted 425 for Lindy's one long ball today. I have testicular cancer. I have one ball. So go me. But yeah, definitely looking at the A's for sure. I'm going to try to see if I can't do it from a betting angle, but yeah, I'll probably end up playing something of the A's. If I might piece off one of these single entry lineups and just get a little bit of exposure there.
Like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. One other thing that I want to ask you about is when it comes to the ownership on the Angels, this is a team with power in their lineup, but it's very rare you go and look at the top stacks tool and you see, oh, the Angels are 20% owned as a team on DraftKings. That is nearly double the ownership of any other team on the DraftKings slate. On FanDuel, they are 21% owned. That is also nearly double the ownership of any other team on the FanDuel slate. What do you make of the Angels? Clearly in a great spot against Logan Evans. But what do you make of them relative to the ownership that's going to them?
Yeah, it's a lot. I don't like it. I mean, I obviously very clearly am a fan of the Angels today, but like, boy, oh boy, that's just so much ownership to be taking in with them today. Logan Evans he must pay for the sins of his family. He must. But there's no way that on FanDuel at 21%, I would be playing a 4-man of the Los Angeles Angels, unless it was like back half of the lineup. Like you could probably parse together some type of back half of the LA lineup and be all right. But if you're trying to play single entry today and you're clicking on the Angels, you're probably doing it wrong.
It's just too high of ownership for me. Too high of ownership. So the Angels, it's a good spot for them against Logan Evans. You look at the Sims run did here. They show up the 4th most of any offense. By the way, the Astros also against Luis Severino. It's a good spot for them. Luis Severino has largely been a disaster this season. We've got them as being a very positively leveraged team. So they also make sense. Just not quite my favorite stack on the slate, but definitely a team to be getting to. The Angels, for a team that's the caliber of theirs, they're just too popular. They should be much lower owned than what they are. So I prefer to be underweight to the field to the Angels, not because it's a bad spot or anything, but just because the ownership is so crazy high on them.
Agreed.
Any other specific spots or anything you want to talk about as far as hitters or offenses go? If not, we could do our dong picks.
Yeah, we can do dong picks, but also I will say this. If you look at San Diego over there, they're a little bit more popular than what I would want on FanDuel. So that is very DraftKings specific. I think like right now pulling right around 11, 12%. It's pretty flat for every other team. And Houston is actually our lowest owned stack over there, which I find to be a little bit surprising. So if I were playing FanDuel today, I think Houston really would be rolling them out there in large field against Severino there, just looking at that ownership on the fly.
Yep, definitely makes some sense to me. Let me make sure. Oh, we got one final question that came into us from Discord from Austin. He wants to know for cash, Torkelson and Donovan or Walker and Gleyber Torres. Let me go and check.
Torres is leading off today, which is kind of interesting, but just kind of looking at it, I probably find some kind of a way to I'd go Gleyber, the Gleyber side of it.
Yeah, so especially because he's the most popular second base. Well, he's about tied with Jose Altuve. Part of that's because Altuve is the second base and outfield eligibility.
Correct.
But yeah, I'd go towards the Gleyber Torres and Walker side. Generally, some of the hitter 2v2s are pretty close, but I'll go with the Gleyber Torres and Christian Walker side of the equation there. So now, Eric, before we wrap up here, we got to get some dongs out of us. Who are you picking to go yard today? And keep in mind, Eric's pick here, he's only got one ball. It might be a little bit weaker, but it's okay. It's going to do some hard work, and it's going to come through for us. Who are you picking to go yard today?
You best believe I'm going to use it. We're going Brent Rooker. He breaks my home run stuff every single time in spots like this. He's got one of the best bat speeds in baseball, 543 expected slugging. He gets to go up against Jason Alexander, who I think we both agreed is terrible, horrible, no good, very bad. And then you look at the bullpen arms. I mean, you have like Hader as a closer. You have more lefties there in Houston than you have in some other spots in baseball. And the Crawford boxes are sitting out there to left. His home run dispersion, it looks so good here. I don't understand his odds. And I haven't understood his odds in a couple of these random spots. This one especially, whether you want to say he's been, quote, bad recently or what, that's just ridiculous. I don't care about that. His bat speed has been normalized over the last week. Everything is lined up. Give me Brent Rooker.
I am going to go with Julio Rodriguez, who, you know, it's funny. You and I were talking about, I think we were like 10 months or 10 days into the month of July. And I had you guess what his WRC plus was for the month. It was 0 at that point in time.
I guess 2, and I was wrong.
Yeah, you overshot it. It is up to 110 for July now. Julio Rodriguez is too talented of a player to continue to be middling like he was at the first half of the year. Love the power upside against Yusei Kikuchi. I'm going with Julio Rodriguez to homer today. Let's see what we got from chat. Chat is going with See You Lookin' is going with Javier Baez. Andre B is going with Cortez. See You Lookin' also has got Vierling and Torkelson. Then we've got Father Time going with Heineman. But that is maybe the least likely. If he, I'll tell you what, Father Time, if Heineman homers, hit me up. I'm going to get you a free sub. He's probably not going to homer though. And by the way, you're free rolling this. It's not, you don't have to like pay me or something if he doesn't. If you call a Heineman homer, good on you. Duckman is going with Spencer Torkelson. Yobo Goodgreens is going with Nick Kurtz. Harlock is going with Manny Machado. Eric 20 has got Moncada. Yay Taco has got Brendan Donovan. NY Stiegel also has Moncada. Malukar's going with Green. Fact 74 has got Neto. Io Kimbrough has got Mike Trout. We've got Nice Kevin going with Kurtz and Torkelson. Van Dam NYC has got 3 homers for Kurtz. D-Buff is going with Riley Green. We've got Cortez as well from Jake DeWitt. Sotex going with Torkelson. We've got B-Funk going with Nolan Arenado. We've got Bryce Matthews from Blake Moore. Bo Bichette from King Mana. We've got the Alabama Jones with Victor Scott. Kamikaze's got Riley Green for 2 homers. G. Joyner's going with Torres. Michael Smith's got Trout. Willie K has got Maldonado for 2 homers, but now everybody's trying to go crazy, one-upping each other. Nolan Shanuel from Matty Ice. Machado from Nick Rouillet. We've got Gavin Sheets from Sir Dodger. Tripp has got Trammell. And that is going to do, oh, no, a couple ones here also. SVT Mike has got a Rosarena. And then is his name really Came in My Pants? All right, well, Came in My Pants has got Javier Baez for today. That's what his name is. This is what he tells people his name is. He goes places and just be like, what did you do this weekend? I posted on YouTube. Oh, really? What is your YouTube handle? Came in My Pants. Cool. All right. Well, fellas, thank you very much for watching the show. If you have not done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to sign up for any of the packages here at Stokastic, link down below in the YouTube description box. Good luck with your lineups today. Normal slate tomorrow with a full lot of games. Eric and I'll be here to break it down. See you guys there.